From one spotlight to another, Nyck De Vries finds himself caught in a relentless whirlwind. The Canadian GP only added fuel to the fire, as De Vries once again became the center of attention due to an incident on the track. With a string of warnings trailing behind him, the tide seems to be turning against him, raising the ominous question of his departure from the racing grid. Before we go into his rather depressing journey so far in F1, let's review the latest blunder of the Dutchman, the accident he had with Magnussen that almost ended far worse than it did, and it cost both teams nothing in terms of repairment. Money both AlphaTauri and Haas do not have plenty of. During the Canadian Grand Prix, Nyck De Vries encountered a problem while competing against Kevin Magnussen. When they were on lap 35 of the race, battling for 12th place, they went side by side through turns 1 and 2, and their cars made slight contact. As they approached turn 3, De Vries found himself on the inside of the corner, but made a mistake by braking too hard, causing his front tires to lose traction. Consequently, he couldn't make the turn and ended up going straight into the runoff area. Since Magnussen was beside him in the AlphaTauri car, he had no choice but to follow De Vries into the escape road. Both drivers eventually returned to the track after navigating the runoff area. However, even if De Vries hadn't made that mistake, he believes that his car, the AT04, was not competitive enough to secure points in the race. According to De Vries, the race was going pretty well until that moment. He explained that he and Magnussen were engaged in a tough battle as they approached turns 1 and 2. During this exchange, De Vries tried to make a move by taking a shorter route on the inside of the turn, but he ended up on the dirt. De Vries admitted that they were pushing each other hard, and in the heat of the moment, he braked too late and couldn't make the corner. He described it as a racing incident, acknowledging that they were both fighting fiercely. On the other hand, Magnussen shared his perspective after the race. He had no issue with the intense competition against De Vries, but believed it was clear who was at fault. Magnussen mentioned that De Vries had the inside line, but he made an error by misjudging his braking point and missed a corner. As a result, Magnussen, who was on the outside, got caught up in the incident and ended up in the runoff area as well. Although the incident was reviewed by the race stewards, they chose not to penalize either driver. In their statement, they noted that De Vries locked up and went straight ahead into turn 3, while Magnussen was already turning into the corner. The stewards determined that neither driver was predominantly to blame. Ultimately, Magnussen and De Vries finished the race in 17th and 18th positions respectively. But is there a way back for De Vries? The 2022 Italian Grand Prix turned out to be a significant race for Nyck De Vries, who was then working as an F1 reserve driver. He got the opportunity to step in when Alex Albon faced a medical emergency due to appendicitis. Impressively, Nyck made it to Q2 and finished the race in 9th place on his debut. This outstanding performance caught the attention of Dr. Helmut Marko, leading to a surprise offer for a permanent spot in AlphaTauri for the 2023 season. This offer came at a time when his future in the Red Bull Academy seemed uncertain due to Pierre Gasly's expected departure to Alpine. However, only a few months later, De Vries is facing potential trouble. In Baku, he was once again outperformed by his teammate Yuki Tsunoda in both qualifying and the new sprint shootout session. This extended his record to 0-5 this season in terms of single-lap performance. The situation worsened as he made contact with Yuki's car during the sprint race, damaging Yuki's front wing. This damage contributed to a crash later in the lap, and while Yuki managed to salvage a point for the team, Nyck ended up crashing in the actual Grand Prix. It's important to remember that Yuki entered the 2023 season under pressure. He had faced 2 challenging seasons against Gasly, being outscored by a significant margin. Team boss Franz Tost openly stated that Yuki needed to consistently reach Q3 and achieve top 10 finishes. Yuki has unquestionably risen to the challenge and performed admirably, while Nyck has struggled in comparison. There has always been a debate surrounding Nyck's journey to Formula 1, with 2 sides to consider. On one hand, his performance at Monza was impressive, but it's worth noting that 9 drivers had power unit penalties, which affected the competition. While Nyck had a strong junior record, winning the 2019 Formula 2 championship, he was somewhat overshadowed by the talented group of drivers from the 2018 season, including George Russell, Lando Norris and Alex Albon, who made a mark before he claimed the title. Although Nyck secured the Formula E World title in 2021, some argue that the qualifying format in that series created an artificial closeness among the drivers at the top of the standings. Interestingly, that format was abandoned for the 2022 season, coinciding with Nyck's teammate, former McLaren F1 driver Stoffel Van Dorn, convincingly outperforming him and winning a title of his own. Adding to Nyck's challenges is a remarkable level of talent among the junior drivers in recent years. We are currently experiencing a golden age, with Max Verstappen already establishing himself as one of the greats in Formula One. Russell, Norris, and Charles Leclerc are likely to be the sport's pillars for another decade. Additionally, Carlos Sainz Jr. and Pierre Gasly have both achieved race victories. The competition is so fierce that even Mick Schumacher, who often matched Kevin Magnussen's performance at Haas, had a short stint in Formula One. The challenge for Nyck lies in the fact that most of the drivers mentioned earlier made their Formula One debuts at a young age. Between 16 and 21, they were expected to be raw, with the inevitable mistakes and learning curves that come with it. However, when you enter Formula One at the age of 28, already holding a single-seater world championship against several drivers of F1 caliber, the expectation is that you are the finished product. Unfortunately, Nyck has consistently struggled to match the pace of his competitors right from the beginning of his first season. To compound matters, Red Bull has replenished their driver academy. One of the reasons Nyck got the opportunity might have been due to uncertainties regarding Liam Lawson's super license at that time. Furthermore, it seemed like a move of desperation rather than a genuine endorsement of talent in the series when Dr. Marco reached out to Colton Herta from IndyCar last year. Ayumu Iwasa is currently in contention for the title in his second year in Formula 2, which typically indicates promising talent. Additionally, Zane Maloney, Dennis Hauger, and Isaac Hadjar all demonstrate potential. Red Bull's conveyor belt of junior talent is operating at full speed once again. Ayumu Iwasa is currently on a 3-win streak and is leading the championship. He is branded as the next star of F1. So if the decision falls for Nyck to be removed, Iwasa is the most likely candidate to replace him. But there is a glimmer of hope for Nyck despite his struggles. The team's significant underperformance this season somewhat excuses his poor form. It's concerning when departing team boss, Franz Tost, openly admits that he has lost trust in the engineers. However, with the arrival of Laurent Mekies, the sporting director from Ferrari, AlphaTauri appears poised for a complete rebuild, which might offer Nyck some breathing space. Nevertheless, he needs to start delivering solid results soon. Considering how ruthless Red Bull can be in their decision-making, it wouldn't be a huge surprise if Nyck didn't even make it to the final round in Abu Dhabi if he continues to perform poorly. I mean, after finishing 14th in the first 2 races, De Vries encountered even more difficulties in the Australian Grand Prix, where Logan Sargent took him out. Baku proved to be a tough weekend as well, with incidents involving his teammate and a crash during the Grand Prix. Miami didn't bring much improvement either, as he collided with Lando Norris at the start and finished 18th. Then Canada came, and again into the spotlight, De Vries crashed with Magnussen and ended up finishing 18th. However, De Vries found some positivity in Monaco and Spain. Despite the rainy conditions in Monaco, he made a smart decision to make a single pit stop and finished 12th, ahead of his teammate Yuki Tsunoda. In Spain, he delivered another solid performance and secured 14th place. De Vries expressed satisfaction. "I consider the last 2 races to be quite positive. Monaco was a consistent and error-free weekend, and in Barcelona, we demonstrated strong performance throughout." In Spain, De Vries faced challenges in qualifying due to 2 spins at turn 11, which affected his tyre situation. However, he remained optimistic and acknowledged that there is still room for improvement. He highlighted the potential of the team and their progress, particularly in car development. Although De Vries and fellow rookie Sargent have yet to score points this season, De Vries praised AlphaTauri's efforts in enhancing the competitiveness of their car. He acknowledged the close competition in the midfield and emphasized that judging development success solely based on final results may not always provide an accurate assessment. What are your thoughts? Can De Vries improve, or is he doomed for failure? Let us know in the comments below.